Hi everybody, Kevin Barnett and Jim Holley. Post-show here from Salt Lake City on a beautiful, warm, windless night. It was an opportunity for Ryan Villopoto to write himself into another section of the record book. You can put it in 3-time in a row champ in the 450 class. Jeremy McGrath, Ricky Carmichael, Bob Hanna, and Ryan Villopoto. Jim, Ryan Villopoto has quickly established himself as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, you can actually call him RV3 now.
Yeah.
With 3 championships in a row. And, you know, I always look back to 2010 when he was battling. I mean, he possibly could have 4 in a row. I mean, but what a great ride tonight. I mean, those guys just put on a great show, and I'm talking about Ryan Villopoto, Davey Millsaps, and Ryan Dungey. I mean, those guys were just flat getting with it tonight. I mean, they lapped at one point, they lapped Andrew Short, and he finished up 8th. And I mean, these guys weren't giving up for anything. I mean, you know, Ryan Villopoto, he wanted to win just as bad as Davey Millsaps and Ryan Dungey did. They wanted to take this thing to Vegas, but unfortunately, RV1 said, no way, I want to clinch this thing out. And I asked him on the podium, you know, what was sweeter. You know, this was a hard championship for him. I mean, to start out with that #1 plate in the red background and finish up 16th, and to battle back, it was just, you know, a great win. And, you know, he thanked all the doctors and everything, because guy's had a lot of injuries since he's moved up to that 450 class.
It takes a whole team to get Ryan Villopoto to the place he's at, but his attitude tonight, I thought it was interesting. Here it was, he could kind of back it in over this race and the next race, but instead he came right out, got a good start, and he was banging bars right at the beginning of that main. He wanted this main event. He wanted to win it and get out.
Well, I mean, you called it. I mean, you said, hey, he's going to pull out the dagger tonight, and he's going to put this one to bed, and that's exactly what he did. I mean, he wraps up that championship. But, you know, for the people watching this, you know, don't forget, there's still a battle for that second place in the championship. And I asked Davey Millsaps, there's a big difference between finishing second in the championship and third. So there's going to be a great fight next week for that second and third position in the championship.
All right, there's still money on the line. Barsha and Kennard actually finished up in 5th and 4th. It was Kennard and then Barsha in the 450 class. In the 250 class, it was excitement from the beginning. Ken Roczen pulls off in the middle of the heat race. And Jim, you had a report on him during that heat race.
Yeah, I went over and I talked to Casey Lytle, and I asked him, hey, is he all right? Was the bike, there was a problem? He goes, no, you know, Kelly radioed on to the headset that everything was okay with the bike and everything was okay with Kenny. He was just frustrated. Well, frustration, you know, cost him tonight. He didn't make that main event. And I always say, you know, if you're not bleeding and have an open gash or a bone's not popping through the skin, man, you stay on that motorcycle and you try to qualify. And he did that last week in Seattle. He crashed twice in the heat race, got back up and finished up 7th, didn't have a bad gate pick. But I mean, I don't know, he's going to be thinking about it. But I mean, if anyone gave a gift back to him, you know, he gives a gift to Eli Tomac, and then Eli Tomac kind of gives it back to him because he had a golden opportunity to go into Las Vegas 5 up if he would have won tonight. He couldn't do that. If he got a 3rd, he would have been tied going into Vegas.
Right.
But with that 6th, Eli Tomac sits 5 behind, and you know, it's one of those things that we're going to crown a champion on the East and the West next weekend in Vegas, and that East-West shootout's going to be a great one.
Eli Tomac looked off all day. It didn't seem like himself, and certainly in that main, he went backwards for quite a bit while.
Yeah, and then he kind of regrouped. You know, looked about lap 10. He said,
past Sipes and Rattray.
Yeah, after all those guys passed him, he said, "Man, I got to get some more points." But you know, I mean, he may be injured. I mean, he had a pretty good crash last weekend. Although he got back up and finished 2nd, could have had a practice crash. He's not telling anybody about it. Who knows? But definitely, that wasn't the Eli Tomac we've seen earlier. You know, or last weekend in Seattle, for that matter.
Well, let's not lose in the points chase. The first ever career victory for Jason Anderson on a Rockstar Energy Suzuki. He got out there and he looked good in his heat race. He looked fantastic in the main. He ran away with it.
He did, and you know, you mentioned that heat race. He almost passed. You know, Malcolm Stewart was fast tonight in the heat race in the whoops, and I asked him about that on the podium. He says, "Yeah, he blitzed me, but I almost got him." He said he made a few little changes, and it seemed to be working for him. But you got to remember, last year here, Jason Anderson had a podium, and he finished up strong. And you know, the kid from Albuquerque, he gets Albuquerque a win. But what a great win for him. You know, I mean, just personally to come away with your first Supercross win in that 250 class, it's going to give him a lot of confidence heading into Las Vegas.
And in second place in that class, Cole Seeley takes revenge on Salt Lake City for putting him in the hospital last year, 1 year ago. Running down the list there, it's Davalos who comes home in 3rd. Good ride for Martin. Finally, a nice main for Martin, in addition to good heat races, and then Stewart and Craig. So that'll do it for the 250s here and the 450s in Salt Lake. One round to go. The championship in the 450 class wrapped up and done, but both 250 classes, East and West, separated by 5 points each. It's going to be an incredible 250 finish to the season in Las Vegas. Next week we will have 3 hours 45 minutes of live streaming. That's 1:15 local time in Las Vegas. We will come on with Supercross Live, and of course we'll have a pre-race preview, a post-race wrap-up, and probably more like a post-season wrap-up at that point, as well as the AMSOIL podium interviews. So this is it for Salt Lake. One round to go in 2013.